Hi, my name is Kendall Robertson, and this is my informative speech on the domestication of cats. Alright, so a question that most of you will be asked at some point in your life is if you're a dog person or a cat person. This question is one that many people use as an icebreaker when trying to find common ground when getting to know someone new. In regards to cats, many people have strong opinions on them. Either you love them or you hate them. Either way you answer this question, you may be unaware of the rich history that humans share with cats. I personally have always been interested in the history of felines and currently now own one cat. I hope to familiarize you all with where cats came from, how we began domesticating them, how domesticated cats spread throughout the world, and how cats influence today, in modern day. Now, where did cats come from? Researchers have had a really hard time pinpointing an exact time frame of when cats began to be domesticated, but there was some evidence found in Cyprus. It was a jawbone of a cat in 1983. This dated back all the way 8,000 years ago, and this gave researchers a better idea of a timeline of when cats began to be domesticated. Science Reference Section, Library of Congress, 2019. Now, this common ancestor is, the scientific name is Felis sylvestris labicia, also known as the African wildcat. This is that cat. This cat breed is native to Africa, the Near East, and the Arabian Peninsula. In addition to this African wildcat, recent archaeological sites have uncovered another wildcat that has ties to domestication. This cat's name is Prionailurus bengalensis, and is also known as the Asian leopard cat, and this is that cat. This cat was in the beginning stages of domestication, and that began in Neolithic China. Vignay et al. Now that I have covered where cats came from, I will go into further detail about the history of their domestication. Ancient Egypt's are attributed to the level of domestication that modern day cats have. They were the first ones to bring wildcat breeds in for their pest controlling abilities because their civilization relied so heavily on agriculture. They needed to keep pests and rodents away out of their crops and their grain stores. And over time, the relationship between humans and cats developed, and ancient Egyptians soon began seeing cats as sacred animals linked to the gods. Fun fact, this is why archaeologists have uncovered mummified cat remains throughout Egypt. How did cats become domesticated? Indeed. And then going back to ancient China, prior to the Silk Road, the Asian leopard cat seemed to play a similar role to that of the cats in Egypt. They were also used as pest control to protect grain and food stores from rodents. This cat breed was in the early stages of domestication and was soon entirely replaced by the African wildcat after the establishment of the Silk Road. Now, how did cats spread globally throughout every country? As humans began migrating out of Africa and throughout Europe, they brought cats with them naturally. And this was before the establishment of the Silk Road. Cats were also commonly used as trade during this to trade during this time. And then after the establishment of the Silk Road, cats were then traded throughout the country and were also commonly gifted to Chinese nobles, and thus they spread throughout the continent. And then for the Americas, they were spread through colonization, and the earliest evidence, archaeological evidence that was found of cats in the Americas was in the mid-1500s, and they were found in at the site of a shipwreck in the Caribbean. Walker et al. 2025. Now that the history of cats' domestication has been explained, I want to go into more detail about the modern house cats and how they compare to the cats of ancient history. Somewhere along the way, cat's purpose began to shift from controlling rodent populations to simply being a companion for humans. Though there are still people who rely on cats for their pest controlling abilities, this is attributed to industrialization and the rise in pesticides. So cats were no longer needed to keep rodents out of crops. And during the late 19th century through the 20th century, that is when cats established their spot in homes as a common house pet. I have gone through where cats came from, how we began domesticating them, how cats became widespread in modern day house cats. It is important to keep this information in mind before making rash judgment on cats. While everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and this speech might not have been enough to change some of your minds, I hope that this speech was enough to awaken some sort of curiosity about cats, as well as satiating that same curiosity. So remember to hold space and appreciate cats as well as their rich history before hating them outright. Thank you.